Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. We are continuing to go through the Triggernometry interview with Dr. Anne Furedi, who previously ran the largest chain of independent abortion facilities in England. We had just finished the man's role in abortion. Now we are going to get to contraception. And I get the feeling, the theme is going to be, if we just throw enough contraception at this, it will go away. That's my guess, even though she said the reason 1 in 3 women will have abortions is because contraception won't make that go away. But consistency never was an abortion advocate's virtue.
And let's talk about contraception a bit, because you touched on that, and that is something that I've never heard, and certainly doesn't get told to me by all the adverts, etc., etc., etc. So let's explore that.
Well, so think about it like this. About half of the women that are seen at BPAS, half of them, say that they're using a method of contraception at the time that they conceived. Now, you might just say, oh, well, they probably would, wouldn't they? And when it comes to condom use, I think it probably is the case that a fair amount of condom failure is failure to get it out of the packet and on to the right body part when you're having sex. But there are a massive number of women who come in who are using contraceptive pills and using other methods of contraception that you would expect to be more reliable. And I think that one of the things is that we tend to think about contraception as being infallible, it's just simply not failing. So, in tests, the contraceptive pill will come up with being, having a failure rate of half, 0.5, 0.5%. But even that, when you think about it, is, if you take it according to those scientific statistics, when the contraceptive pill is used absolutely perfectly, that means that 1 woman in 200 will become pregnant during a year. Well, if you've got 3 million using the pill, that is still a lot of women. And if you take it where you think about the pill's effectiveness in real life, where we forget to take it every now and again, or you have a stomach upset, or what have you, well, that's a failure rate of about 4%. So that's 4 women in 100 who will become pregnant. And we just don't think about that. I mean, the point, what I think, is ultimately we need to recognise that abortion is, in a way, a form of birth control.
Well, at least she's admitting it.
And there are a range of methods of stopping having a child, and some of them act before you conceive. Some of them, like abortion, act after you've conceived, but they all at the end of the day wrap up as being a way of stopping a child from being born. And I think if we accept it like that, it probably helps. But as you say, women don't expect contraception to fail, men don't expect contraception to fail. So it's hardly surprising that they end up in a BPAS clinic when it does.
Well, that's not what we get fed by society, and that's certainly not what we get fed by advertisers.
Well, look, think about it like this,
It wouldn't make for a great advert, though. Buy a condom, you're only going to get pregnant once out of 10 times.
No, it wouldn't, but, think about it like this, right? You always think your car is going to start in the morning. and sometimes it
Is that a
doesn't.
metaphor?
Yeah, you know,
You're getting to that kind of age, mate.
there's a thing that's going on. I passed my driving test, right? I passed my driving test. I know the highway code. You know, my company as BPATS would have been so delighted when I left and I didn't have a company car anymore, because the number of times I managed to back into things getting out of a car park, you know, so contraception is probably about as reliable as my driving. Let's look at it like that.
And would you?
So that seems to me kind of, again, she's that disconnect between we as a society need to recognize that when you do the baby making thing, you might make a baby and you need to be responsible for the baby you made, even if you didn't intend to make the baby. Just as if she backs the company car into somebody's mailbox, she needs to be responsible for that. She shouldn't say, well, I didn't consent to hit the mailbox.
Do you classify as a morning after pill as an abortion?
The morning after pill is definitely a method of contraception legally. Right, morally, you can go all over the place with this kind
Technically,
of
it is a
discussion.
form of abortion, isn't it?
No, because technically, in law, contraception is something that stops a fertilized egg from implanting in the womb.
And we discussed that, and I am going to find the thing I did about which contraceptives are actually abortions and which aren't. So hold on, and I'll get back, because I don't want to forget to include this. Okay, I found it, so I can include it. Let's continue with what she has to say here.
Abortion is something that ends a pregnancy, and that means it works after. Now the point about, and the reason why it is really important to ram this point home, is that if you're already pregnant and you take the morning after pill, it just doesn't work. So that's why there's an important distinction.
Notice she makes the distinction based on something other than whether a newly conceived human dies or not.
Although there are some people who say, well, hang on a minute here, and I don't know what Callum Miller's views were on this or whether you talked about it, but they'll say, well, you know, there's a period of time when an egg has been fertilised, but it hasn't implanted in the womb yet.
Ooh, she is going there.
And the morning after pill might interfere with that. So if you are really concerned about that, then you might not want to use it. But I think most people are, and certainly legally, which is why abortion in this country, you can only do it in hospitals or licensed clinics. Now you can have the abortion pill at home, but it still has to be sent out from licensed premises, whereas the morning after pill you can get in your chemist.
I'm going to have another pop at the cherry. I'm going to have another go at the cherry, because I'm going to have another go at the cherry, because I was thinking about the example of the Brixton that you gave, and you said, well, people, yes, we all accept that it's life, but is it the same life as the people who are already alive? But we're not talking about killing those people. We're talking about inconveniencing them, or causing some kind of difficulty in their lives, or a reduction in their quality of life, or their standards of living, or problems with their boyfriend, or whatever. But if we accept that it's a form of life, I don't see how you can in any other context would we ever say, well, you know what, Francis is inconveniencing me and my quality of life is not quite as good. Right.
There is.
You felt it.
Yeah, you might
I do feel it, but I've never done it. That's my point.
No, and I can see where you're coming from.
I'm pro-life when it comes to Francis.
I'm pro-life when it comes to Francis as well. No, I think that's, I think, but look, there is no comparable situation.
Is this really it?
Yeah,
is this really the thing here? This is not going to get resolved, and that's because you have two conflicting sets of rights that are very, very important, that we hold in very high regard, which is independence and bodily autonomy on the one hand, and your right to life on the other. And these issues are just physiologically in conflict. You can't detach them from each other. We're always going to be in this situation. There is no right answer.
Okay, and right now we're getting to a whole nother section that's going to be long, so I'm going to end this video here, and we'll get back to that.